Welcome to Across the Diamond, episode 7, the start of a new series. We're going to be starting our ranks for every single MLB position, starting with second baseman. I am one of your co hosts, Andrew Manjares.
I'm your second co-host, Ryan McKinney. Clean
And,
shaven, Ryan.
and before we get started, I just want to, just like every other episode, just go over recent news. The last one that we talked about was, the Randall Grichuk stuff and stuff like that. After that, we have Harrison Bader. He's going to the Minnesota Twins. No, not a lot of information out. We just know he's going to go to the Minnesota Twins. We don't know if it's on a minor league deal and or if it's on a major league deal, but we do know he's going to be over in Minnesota. After that, not baseball related, but you have Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors. And then you have Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is going back to New York on a 2-year deal with an opt out at the first year for $30 million on each of those years, I believe. With
Yes.
no 2 years, 54 million.
Two
With
years, 30 million the first year and the opt-out after the first year.
yes, with a $10 million signing bonus, which is a part of the 54 million. And then you have Tommy Pham going to the Pirates. Like I said, with the Harrison Bader one, we don't have a lot of information on it. We don't know if it's a minor league deal or a major league deal, but it is worth mentioning. And then we have Shohei Ohtani's interpreter being sentenced to 57 months. And then after that, we have Yohan Moncada on a major league deal with the
Just
Angels.
happened.
Yeah, it just happened about 48 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, just some minor moves for teams that really, you know, are in the middle ground of baseball in terms of competitiveness. So,
Well,
nothing
outside of
much
Pete
to really
Alonso for
talk about.
sure.
Oh yeah. I forgot about Pete. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
Pistol
big.
Pete.
So last episode that we just posted today because we were late on posting it, we had an argument about the Mets and the Phillies. I wanted to jump in and revoke my statement now that the Mets have Pete Alonso.
Yes.
I think the Mets now have are the more. I still would pick the Phillies in playoff baseball.
Okay.
But I think the Mets are the better team on paper and built to last the regular season a little bit longer. We'll see how that rotation holds up. That's the huge question mark. Phillies don't have a question mark in the rotation, but I just wanted to revoke my statements and say applaud to you, Andrew. But
I
to be fair,
appreciate it, man.
you had some help with with an all-star first baseman coming to the team. So
I mean, even before that, I mean, I still thought the Mets were the better team, but having adding Pete Alonso back kind of solidifies my statement on saying that stuff. I mean, you got now the big three. I know the big question that you had to ask me, an equivalent to Kyle Schwarber after Bryce Harper, Trey Turner to Lindor, Soto. I think you definitely have to favor the trio of Soto, Lindor, Alonso over Harper, Turner, Schwarber, and it's really no testament. I still think you can definitely make an argument to take the Phillies big three over the Mets big three. It's just me personally, I definitely gonna go ahead and choose the Mets trio, man. That's just my personal
who's
opinion though.
who's got the best trio in New York now?
Between who? Judge, Stanton, Bellinger, or Alonso, Lindor, Soto. I mean, you're just gonna have
That's
to. I
not
mean, if
close.
yeah, it's not. You have to go with the over there in Queens
Just wanted to
versus the
poke the
Bronx.
Yankee fan.
Yeah, I mean, no worries on that, man. I still think the Yankees are a better team than the Phillies and the Mets, and I don't think that's a
Yeah,
hot take at all.
you're wrong on that
I
portion.
don't think so, not even a little bit. But that's just me. Maybe that's my Yankee bias. Maybe we can have another
That
conversation
is the Yankee
after that.
bias. Let me tell
But
you what.
we definitely have a better rotation than the Mets. That's damn for sure. That's for sure. We definitely have a better bullpen than the Mets. That's for sure. And I think our lineup is definitely argue. You could definitely argue the lineup as well.
Then the Mets?
Let's see. So let's just go
Let's
from.
not get
Let's
into
just
this
okay,
because
fine.
let's not get into this because you are not going to win that argument on the lineup.
Yeah,
Oh, I'll give you the other two, but you're not going to win the
in the argument,
lineup.
maybe not. Well, all right, man. Let's get into the second base. I'll let you go first.
So,
And
by
for
the way,
criteria,
yeah, there you go.
we're gonna go 10 players each. Primary,
Two
second
honorable
baseman.
mentions.
I did one honorable mention.
Okay, I
Ryan
did
can go over
two.
here and do his two. But my criteria was based off of whatever Fangraphs had projected on who's going to be their starting second baseman. We're gonna go ahead and do all the positions, including DHs, and then we're gonna combine left field and right field for corner outfield spots. So all in total, if you see maybe a player that you would think is going to be the everyday second baseman, just me personally, I'm not going to rank them until whatever Fangraphs tells me. If a guy is, projected to play third base, but although we all kind of think he's going to be second base, I'm just going to go off of Fangraphs. I think that's just the best way for me to just keep it smooth and together. And Ryan may not have that criteria, but If someone's
We
in his
get
top 10, there's going to be that same player is going to be in my top 10, just maybe
most
not at the
likely,
same
yeah.
position. Yeah. So, sorry for the confusion. It's just,
And then
that's how I
for li-
based mine off of.
for list purposes, we went off of reputation, but we also are projecting for the 2025 season. This isn't a list based off of only the past. We are also trying to input our ball knowledge and project these players' season in the 2025 slot and also have that be part of our opinions on these players. So just remember that there's going to be some projections. So one player might have had a better year than one player the last year, but Andrew and I might be projecting the player ahead
Yes.
of him to have a better 2025 season. So that's just the criteria.
Well, since you have two honorable mentions, I'll go ahead and tell you my honorable mention. And if we have the same one, at least if my
Hmm.
one honorable mention is the same as one of your two, then we'll go ahead and talk about them first. So I'll go ahead and tell you my honorable mention. Mine's Jackson Holiday. Do you have Jackson Holiday as your honorable
No.
mention? Okay, so my honorable mention is Jackson Holiday. I couldn't quite put him in the top 10 as the more I kind of dug deeper in trying to make this list, I kind of realized it's a deep position. And in my personal opinion, I think Jackson Holiday is going to be a great player. And when it's said and done, maybe even by All-Star break of this 2025 year, because I'm a big Jackson Holiday truther, I think he is maybe in that top 10 range. But as of right now, I can't choose him ahead of these guys because a lot of these guys are more proven. They've had more big league time. And he's also, he hasn't spent a lot of time at
21
second
years
base,
old too.
exactly. And he's going from short to second. He's like you said, 21 years old, but I had him as my honorable mention. He definitely had a cup of coffee this year. He put up a zero F4 steamer F4 projections, have him at a 2.4. And this past year, he had a 62 WRC plus with 109 WRC plus. I mean, even those projections alone, I mean, if you're a two win or a two F4 win type of player at second base, that's definitely going to play at least in the top 10. And an above average hitter is projecting at 109 WRC plus. I mean, I don't want to go too deep on Jackson Holiday. I feel like anybody and their moms knows at least a little bit of something about Jackson Holiday. AAA player for sure. His dad is Matt Holiday, great player as well. And he's growing up around baseball. I don't think there's really anything bad you can say about Jackson Holiday. His power may not play. Maybe he's not going to, crush about 30 homers a year in the big leagues, but he's definitely in that 15 to 20 range. He has great, bat to ball skills, and that's gonna play at second base. You have seen a little bit of hiccups at the big league level, but at the end of the day, he's 21 years old. He lost his rookie eligibility, but he really doesn't really have that biggest a sample size in the big leagues. So I really don't see that playing a factor. I think he's a good defender. He's been a good defender in the minors, and he's been a good defender on all of the prospect reports on him as well. But yeah, sorry to maybe the Jackson Holiday truthers. I just can't include him in my top 10 today.
Yeah, so I tried to find him a way for him to be in my honorable mentions and in my top 10. I actually originally had him at 10 before
Nah,
going back and just re-looking at my list. And I could see several routes of him overtaking my 10, 9, 8 guys. Very easily actually. So I wanted to try to slip him in that top 10 or my honorable mention, but there's just some proven guys and some this is a young position too. A lot of these guys are before the age of 30 and they have room for growth. So I just couldn't find the slot for him to be in the top 10 or my honorable mentions. But I'll get into my honorable mentions. My honorable mentions are Gleyber Torres and Bryson Stott. Gleyber
really?
Torres, now a Detroit Tiger, and
Yes.
Bryson Stott, obviously a Philly. Um, so going into this list, I thought I would have Bryson Stott in my top 10 solidified. But going back to this previous season where he only put up a 2.5 BWAR and really struggled with the bat. I mean, just couldn't get things going. Had a 671 OPS, 89 OPS plus. And what I went to find when I was doing my research on Bryson Stott, trying to refresh my memory, he wasn't a great defender this year.
No, he really
He
wasn't.
wasn't even a good defender, actually.
Mm-mm.
He was pretty average at that. And when I go into my projections, if he doesn't have that glove that he usually does, I think he falls out of the honorable mention after this year if he puts up another season similar to last. Baseball Reference has his projections of a 706 OPS. If he gets into that range and gets back to great defense, I think he could stay in this range of 8 to 12, no matter how you look at it. Um, but I just don't see that happening.
To add about on Bryson Stott's defense, I mean, it's kind of alarming when you kind of really look at the stats. In 2023, he was in the 99th percentile in range and outs above average with 17. And then you just go 1 year after that for 2024. I mean, by no means is he a bad defender. He's not a bad defender at all. He's in the 52nd percentile now with zero outs above average. So I just don't maybe I don't know. Maybe he just didn't have a lot of opportunities. I definitely can probably look into that a little bit later. But to go from the 99th percentile to the 52nd, just 1 year removed, that I just think it's kind of wild when you really look at that, man.
Exactly. And then to get into Glaber, um, coming off a great 2023 season where he had an 800 OPS and a 3 B WAR, I was expecting high things from Glaber. To be honest with you, I thought he was going to be a key part in that Yankees lineup behind that Judge and Soto combination, but he just really struggled out of the gates. He did start getting things going in the second half and was trending upward, but in total, his season was very average, and he's obviously not a great defender at second base. Um, had a 709 OPS, a 101 OPS plus. So, like I said, without the cold start of the front half, I think he would be on this top 10 list. But now going into the projections, he's also going to Detroit, where I don't think his power is going to play at all. I mean, he hit 15 homers as a Yankee, and now he goes to a cold city in Detroit with a big field. Um, and and if you watch Glaber a lot, he slaps the ball to the right field and sends that ball over that short porch in right field most of the time. But in Detroit, he's not going to be able to do it. It's a big right field out there. And I just don't see a route of him having an above 710 OPS even in Detroit. I mean, if he doubles his way there with a slug, he had a 378 slug this season. I mean,
Yeah.
if he doesn't get 35 doubles in Detroit, I don't see him having even a 400 slug there. So I just couldn't see a route of him being good enough in Detroit to put on my top 10 list. And he doesn't do the base running portion of the game or the fielding portion of the game either. So
And
it's just
102 WRC plus, so you're a league average bat.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm honestly, in all honesty, I want to let the viewers know Gleyber Torres is my favorite player. He's been my favorite player for years. He'll always be my favorite player. I got a signed bat for Christmas from my pops about a year ago, man. I have all of his baseball cards. I love Gleyber Torres, but I'm gonna be honest with you, he's not on my top 10, and he's not on my honorable mention list at all. I don't think I'm to base it off of projections. It's just in all fairness to put my bias aside, I just don't think he's a top 10 second baseman. Do I think he's going to be a 10-year player? I do. I think he's always going to be able to find a job because he's a league average bat. He has good walks. He limits the strikeouts. At least this previous year, he limited the strikeouts a lot better. He's definitely been getting better a lot, and he's a solidified leadoff hitter. At least in the Bronx, he was. We tried him bat him fourth. We tried to bat him seventh. Opening day, he was a leadoff hitter. He kind of went through a slump a little bit too, and then like you said, he really heated up in the second half, and altogether, he definitely salvaged the season in the second half, and he also did pretty well in the playoffs too. So good on Gleyber Torres, man. I'm sad to see him leave. I really think it was a bad idea for him to go to Detroit. Although maybe that was the only guy that was the only team that was calling his phone. I mean, I don't know everything about it, but I really don't think his bat's really going to play that well in Detroit. And on a 1 year prove it deal, I only hope nothing but the best for him. And I really hope I'm wrong, but looking at the stats, looking at the savant, and just as you touched on, he doesn't do anything well. He just the best tool he has is an average stick. So players up to him, man. Second base is relatively a weak position, but going into 2025, I really wanted to fit him in here, but I really can't, man. In all honesty.
All right, let's jump into our top 10 then. You can start it off with your number 10.
Just stop me after I say his name if you have him at 10 too. At number 10, I have Luis Garcia Jr., brother. Um, I have uh, I don't really know how to start the conversation on Luis Garcia Jr. He plays for the Nationals, so maybe a lot of the casual viewers don't really necessarily know who he is. But he put up a 3.1 F4 this season, man. 3.1 F4, 111 WRC plus, 5 outs above average. And how I weighted base running because I wanted to label basically all parts of baseball. I went on Savant and I looked up base running runs. So basically, for the viewers that don't know what base running runs are, it's basically it weighs in stolen bases and it also weighs in your ability to take that extra base and make it close. So in that total, with all of his base running and stuff like that, he accumulated one extra run for his team, which is giving him a one base running run. It's basically WAR, but for base running. I really don't know how to explain it. I wish I had a better explanation.
It's a
And
new
as this,
stat too, I
yeah,
think.
it's a newer stat, but that's how I raced it. Did it off of. I didn't want to do base running value. I didn't want to do stolen bases, especially with the inflated stolen bases we've seen with the bigger bases and stuff like that. So I wanted to find a stat that kind of evened the playing field for all sides of base running, and that's what he has, man. So the basically, if you have zero, you're about an average. You don't really do anything. You don't really take the extra base. You may steal a couple of bases, but it's not accumulating runs for your team. It's not accumulating. You took that extra base and you're on third with one out, and all of a sudden you get a sac fly instead of that sac fly moving you to third because you initially took that first base. You know what I mean? You are the reason why they had that extra run to begin with. So he's an above average base runner at that. You know what I mean? With an above average glove with 5 outs above average. And via Steamer on F4, he's projected to digress. Although I don't think Steamer is the best projections you can possibly see, but he's projected with 106 WR plus and a 2.6 F4. So I mean that's gonna play. And if you even replicate those stats, I still think if he matches those projections, I still think that's a top 10 second baseman. So he's still only 24 years old. I think there's plenty of room to grow. And I really think out of all those guys over there, I think Luis Garcia Jr. is probably the safest bet right next to CJ Abrams on that team as of right now.
All right, well, I'm interested to see who you have above him because I have him higher on my list.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yes, but I'll get into my number 10. It's going to be Bryce Terang of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Interesting.
Bryce Terang this year had a why does Fangraphs always do this? Um, Put up a 2.5 F4, had an OP or WRC plus of 87, and his main gripe as a baseball player is as a base runner and a defender, elite defensively.
Won the platinum glove.
Was won the Platinum Glove, had a 6 outs above average, is incredibly fast, and had 50 stolen bases this season. He only put up a 665 OPS, but you're not looking to Bryce Terrain to necessarily hit for you. I mean, he doesn't hit the ball very hard. He doesn't he doesn't whiff though. He's your typical second baseman who's bats the ball first and might run into 5 homers in a season, but steal you 50 bags, 40 bags, 60 bags, play elite defense. Um, and I just don't trust his bat enough to put him any higher on the list. I guess there's a guy I have above him that might make me hypocritical, but I think that guy has the ability to play another position elite as well. He was just stuck at second. And I also think his bat has a higher ceiling because we've seen it before. So I just I tried to rank higher coming off of a good year where he's a Platinum Glove winner, obviously, but I just don't think he's not going to hit enough for me. And in a game day and age where hitting is the most prestigious uh stat that we look at in ability, obviously we saw a guy get paid 750 million for only being able to hit the baseball. He can't do anything else on the field. So as a sport that's relying on that, I just couldn't rank him any higher. I mean, his projection for next season is a 2.6 F4, which is pretty much the same, and an OPS of 385, 3 or 684, I'm sorry. And I just don't see that. I mean, that's good enough for him to be a top 10 second baseman, especially if he steals 50 bags again and plays elite defense, but nothing more for me.
Well, I have Bryce Strang on my list, so I agree he is a top 10 second baseman. I have him a little bit higher on this list. I think he there's other sides of the ball where he can do pretty well. So I'll go ahead and give my take on Bryce Strang when I get to him. But at my number 9 spot, I have Brandon Lau. So
I
I
also have
just
Brandon Lau at
yeah,
nine.
Brandon Lau. Okay.
At
So
nine.
last year he played 107 games, I believe. Yeah, 107 games. So he was banged up, which is kind of like the tail all of his career. He can't seem to stay healthy, but when he is healthy, he's just nothing but consistent, man. So it's like he's consistently hurt, but he's also consistently good when he's on the field. You know what I mean? This past year, he hit 244 with a 311 on base, with a 473 slug to give him a 783 OPS with 121 OPS plus, and with 21 homers, man. Um, Steamer has him projected to be better this year. This past year he had a 2.2 F4, and Steamer Fangraphs projections, he has a projected 3.1 F4. This past year, 123 WRC plus. This year, projected 121 WRC plus. He's an average defender, so I'm not gonna fault him for that. If you don't make errors and you're making the plays you need to, it's okay if you have a 0 outs above average, man. I mean, it's okay. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going to be able to slug from that second base position. And same stat that I've ranked all these guys at is base running runs. He has 0. So he's about an average base runner. He's an average defender, but his stick's going to play, man. And
Above average
yeah,
hitter.
yeah,
And
above average
if
stick.
to put my 2 cents in, since we both have him at 9, if you guys look at this guy's underlining data, boy, does he hit the ball fucking
Yeah,
hard.
dude,
I
for
mean,
sure.
he's in the 91st percentile
And
of
expected
expected
slug.
slug as a
Yeah.
second baseman. I mean, that's incredible. And
Yeah.
if we put his last 2 seasons together, where he has played about 216 games. I mean, he's hit 21
42
homers in
homers.
both of those games, 42 homers as a second baseman with an OPS well above 775, or not well above, but in that 775 range and 4.5 BWAR. That's pretty good for a guy who battles through injuries and has to come back and get through those injuries. It's not an easy thing when you're off and on the field so much because
But
it's
to
hard
come
to get into
back and
that
be
groove.
consistent as Brandon Lau is, it's just
Yeah.
he's a top 10 second baseman. I think even if he plays a full 162, I think he's even higher on this list.
Yes. This is a guy who's been top
Yeah,
10 in MVP before
yeah,
in his career. And from 2019 to 2020, boy, was this guy fucking good.
yeah.
I mean, he almost hit 40 homers in 2021. Now, I get we're 3 years removed from that, going on to our fourth, but he also hasn't been as healthy as he was that season since then. So I think if this guy plays 140 games, we see a easy 30 homer season and an easy OPS of 780 to 800 because this guy does walk at a decent clip too.
Yeah.
Uh, he doesn't.
I mean, he has a
I
career
mean,
330 on base percentage
yeah,
with a
he walks at about an
245 average.
8% clip too,
Yeah.
which will play. So
And if you want a bigger sample size, I'm being convinced by Brandon Lau's top second baseman. Through 611 career games, he has an 812 OPS. Like he's just wildly consistent, man. And
yeah.
I feel like it's criminal if anybody would be willing to put Brandon Lau outside of the top 10, man.
So all right. Well, I'm glad we both agree on Brandon Lau.
Yeah.
Uh, I like Brandon Lau. I was actually gonna rank him one spot higher if you want to get into your number 8.
My number 8 is Matt McClain. So
I
Matt
don't have Matt
McClain,
McClain on the list because he's not. To be fair, I don't think he's gonna play second. But if he
where do you
was,
think he's gonna play?
he's gonna be all over the field in Cincinnati.
Sure. I mean, maybe we could have ranked him out of
Third,
tier two anyway.
second, corner
But
outfielders.
as I started this video, I told the viewers that I
Yeah,
based it off of Fangraphs on who's projected to play second base. Obviously, Ellie has that locked up at short, so he's not going to play short. And third base, you have Heimer, I believe, and then first you
Heimer plays
have,
first.
and then who plays third?
It's Noelvi Marte,
Oh, Novelli Marte. Yes.
but I think Matt McClain's gonna jump all over the infield because
L-
Noelvi really struggled last season.
Yeah, Novelli coming back from a PED suspension. But I digress. Anyways, I have Matt McClain. He didn't play at all in 2024, but I can't ignore what he did on the field when he was on the field in 2023, and which, mind you, I think was his rookie year. And
Yeah, it was 861 OPS.
861 OPS, just like my partner just said, man. Through 89 games, 89 games. So he's 23 years old. He'll be 25 this year. He's going to be fully healthy. He's going to be starting on the opening day roster. Through 89 games, this guy put up a 3.7 B war. 3.7 B war. He had 3.1 F war. You know what I mean? He has a 2 outs above average. And he's not the greatest base runner as that rookie year. He had a -1 base running runs. So not the best out there. But I mean, I don't. I love Matt McClain. If I had to pick a favorite red, I think I'd have to go with Matt McClain. Batted 290 with a 357 on base percentage. As we see rookies come up, especially last year, you saw the whiff percentages skyrocket, as well as the inability to walk. For him to bat 290 with a 357 on base percentage as a rookie, I mean, I'm convinced. I couldn't not include Matt McClain on this list simply because I think Matt McClain is a great ball player. I 127 OPS plus. I mean, if you just want to look at the numbers yourself, I mean, you'd really have to convince me otherwise why he shouldn't be included on this list, man. He's projected this year to have a 3.4 F4 with 127 WRC plus. Um, I mean, that's a top 10 second baseman in my eyes, man.
I mean, if I had him on my list, he would be higher. I think than 8 for me. I'm really high on Matt McClain, as everyone in baseball should be. This guy's a stud, and I'm really excited to see what he does. I think he's gonna provide a crazy amount of value to that Reds lineup, and I'm just excited to watch him play. So with that being said, my number 8 is Andres Jimenez. Uh,
Interesting. Really?
yes,
Really?
Andres Jimenez, a guy who just came onto the scene in that 2022 season, was absolutely incredible. Got himself paid, had a 7.4 WAR that season, B WAR, and an 837 OPS. And then the last 2 years he's been underwhelming, especially last year. Last year he had a 638 OPS and an 82 OPS plus. But he did steal 30 bags and he had a 4 B WAR. The season before where he was below average hitter still in terms of WR or OPS plus, he put up a 5.3 B WAR. This guy does incredible things with his glove. And if you don't if you've never watched Andres Jimenez, it's like a reincarnation of Andrelton Simmons, but at second base. He doesn't have the arm strength Andrelton Simmons possessed, but the glove and the wizardry he has behind that thing, it's just incredible to watch. And him going to Toronto, the reason I ranked Andres Jimenez higher than Bryce Terang is because I think he's a better defender than him, and I also think he has the ability to go play shortstop. He was just stuck at second base and uh, Cleveland, and I also think that he's gonna somewhat bounce back in Toronto. I mean, they have a thing for bringing guys in, and their bats typically. Actually, I don't want to say that because a lot of their free agents have declined since coming over to Toronto. But I think they're going to find a way to get his bat back up to at least league average. And if you're Andres Jimenez and you bat have a 715 OPS and 100 OPS plus, you're going to put up a 5.5 win season. And that is so extremely valuable, especially for a guy who's stolen 30 bases the last 2 seasons and can just field with the best of them. It's incredible to watch, and I'm projecting him to put up over a 5 WAR season this next year in Toronto, and maybe even play shortstop. I know this is second base ranking, and I hope he stays there because he's just such a stud there. And I think Bo Bichette's going to play short this coming up season, but maybe after the season after, we're going to have him on our shortstop rankings. And shortstop's a deep position, but if he could put up a 5.5 to 6 win season like he's very capable of, and he's even capable of putting up a higher season just because his floor is so high. I mean, his floor is a 4 win season. You put up a 638 OPS and have a 4 win season. That's just incredibly hard to do, and he did that. So I have him ranked eighth here on my lineup, and for that I Bryce Terang and him are similar, but he's just way better at Bryce Terang defensively, and I think his bat has a way higher ceiling too. So that's why he's number 8 on this list.
I mean, it might be a hot take. I don't have Andres Jimenez on my list at all.
Wow. Why?
I don't. I just.
Why?
I just think I disagree. I think Bryce Terang's better. I think Bryce Terang and
Bryce
Andres
Terang,
Jimenez.
a 2.5 win season in his best year of his career.
That's fine. I mean, we can have the we can I can tell you
What
how
does Bryce Terang
I
do
can tell
better
you
than
how I
Andres
feel about Bryce
Jimenez?
Terang once I get to him.
You
I
have him
can't.
higher on your list than Matt McClain.
Yes.
What
I
does what does Bryce Terang do better than Andres Jimenez?
I'll get to Bryce Terang when I get to him.
No, let's talk
But
about this because you don't have
I'm
Andres
trying to
Jimenez
tell
on your
I'm trying to talk
list.
to you about Andres Jimenez and why I don't have him on my list. I just see the 96 OPS plus and the 82 OPS plus. Sure, he steals bases. He had 30 stolen bases in 2023 and 2024. I just don't I just don't see him moving from Cleveland to Toronto and necessarily getting. I just don't think that's a good fit. I really don't. If Cleveland, I think in Cleveland you even have like lower expectations. I think in Cleveland, I think is a more fan friendly. I think there's least amount of pressure in Cleveland into going to Toronto. I feel like if you're gonna give up a player like Spencer Horwitz
I highly
for
disagree with
Andres
that, by the way.
Jimenez, for Andres Jimenez, I feel like you're expecting to compete. And I
I
don't think I just don't think Andres Jimenez is
we
that.
were
I
dis
just don't.
We
I
were
just don't.
disappointed with him when he put up a 5.5 win season, Andrew.
I
If that's not
understand. He's a bro.
expectations,
I
I don't know
don't.
what is.
You're. He has a 5-win season. Sure, I understand that. He had a
And we
four
were
win season this year
disappointed in
and
that.
a 7.4 WAR before that, all B WAR. Um,
His OPS plus is also higher than Bryce Terang's.
that's fine. What is Bryce Turang's sample size compared to Andres Jimenez? Bryce Turang has what, 2 seasons? Less than two
Okay,
seasons, like a
that's
year and a
fine.
half.
He's 25, and how old is Andres
They're
Gimenez?
both 25.
Exactly. So why are we talking about sample size when
I
they're the
mean,
same
earlier we were
age?
talking yesterday, we were just talking about Bobby Witt and Gunnar Henderson, and you were talking about age two. So it seems like regardless of them the same
Yeah,
age,
but
you brought
there's an
up
age
games. You
difference.
brought
There's an
up
age
games played. You
difference.
brought up games played.
There's an age
So
difference between Bobby Witt
there's a
and Bryce
games played
Terang.
different. There's a games played difference as well.
No,
So
I mean, sure, but like, what does
there's a,
Bryce Terang do better than Andres Gimenez?
he's a better base runner than Andres Jimenez.
I
And
mean, I guess, but Andres Gimenez is in the 97th percentile in fielding run value and 70th percentile in base running value. It's not like he's a bad defender, and he has 80 steals over the last 3 seasons.
sure. Bryce Strang is in the 98th percentile of base running value and the 77th percentile in fielding run value.
So,
Sure.
I mean, if you
Andres
value
Jimenez,
base running that much,
I think
he's not a better
I
hitter.
don't know how to maybe I just have I don't know something about Bryce Strang and something about him. I think if I had to bet on who would have a better year going into 2025, I think Bryce Strang is only getting better. I think Andres Jimenez is getting worse.
How does he get worse?
He had a 638 OPS
And
plus
put
with
up
an
a four
82
and a half
OPS
win
plus.
season. And
That's fine.
he's going to a place where it's easier to hit now.
Who was the second baseman on the Chicago White Sox that got cut because he couldn't hit but was a wizard defensively as well? Leary something?
Okay, we're not going to compare that because he's not Andres Gimenez level defensively. No one on this planet is really.
Sure. I really
Outside
I don't
of
see the appeal on anything about Andres Jimenez
okay, I have Bryce Turang in my top 10 list. And okay, how is Bryce Turang above Matt McLain on your list?
because Matt McLain, I couldn't put him higher, although I wanted to. It just I can't based off the fact that he hasn't played baseball since 2023, and he's coming back from a shoulder injury.
Okay,
We
fair
saw
enough.
Corbin
But
Carroll take what a whole year for his shoulder to heal to finally do that, and that was while playing baseball. That was while seeing big league pitching.
because
I don't think Matt McLain's
he
going
was
to come
playing
back.
through an injury.
Sure, he was playing through injury, but
Matt
even playing
McLain
through
sat
that,
it out and
I'm still
rested him.
listening. Like, let me talk. Corbin Carroll was playing through injury.
But you're
Obviously, his
making the
stats were
comparison that
terrible.
doesn't
Listen,
match.
it does match because they both had shoulder injuries, and I'm basing that off of how Corbin Carroll's performance was, and his performance was like that while seeing big league pitching. Although Matt McLain is going to be healed, he's going to come back. He's been out of baseball for he played 89 games in 2023. Okay, and now he missed all of 2024 without seeing big league pitching whatsoever. Okay, after his rookie year, I just feel like even
We're
if you want to make the argument for a sophomore slump, also by the fact that he simply hasn't played. I think Matt McLain is better than Andres Jimenez and Bryce Turang, 100%. I can't put him that high yet. I just need to see a
So
little bit
Bryce
more.
Turang, a guy who had a 660 OPS, and when you look at the expected stats, I expect digression from that OPS, from a well below average hitter, and then a guy who's not even close defensively as Andres Gimenez is. Not even close. I mean, Bryce Turang's elite defensively, but that just shows you how good Andres Gimenez is on that side of the ball.
I think a better comparison between Andres Jimenez and Bryce Turang would be Nico Horner, who I have seventh on my list, and then I have Bryce Turang at number six.
Oh my God, what does Bryce Turang do better than Nico Horner?
What does Bryce Turang do better than Nico Horner? I I just gave the edge to Bryce Turang because of how much better he is up on base running.
But
I
Nico
just feel
Horner is
like the
literally a
gap.
better defender, and
Yeah, I
Nico Horner's
understand.
in the 95th percentile in base running with 31 stolen bases and a way better
Where do
hitter.
you have Nico Horner?
I have him at 5.
I have Nico Horner at seven. I have Bryce Turang at six. They're one apart.
I don't
One apart.
understand. That's
One
that's a
apart.
big deal. You have
One
Bryce
apart.
Turang at fucking 6.
I have Bryce Turang at six. I think
A
Bryce
guy
Turang
who,
is better.
what does he do better? What are you projecting him to be
I
better
think
at?
they're the exact same player. To me, they're the exact same player
They're
between Bryce
not.
Turang,
But they're not at
Nico
all.
Horner, and Andres Jimenez.
But they're not even close to the same player.
And what makes you say that?
Nico
You
Horner's a
realize
way better hitter and a better defender.
you realize that Bryce Turang had a 4.7 B WAR, which was zero point 0.3 worse than Andres Jimenez.
and Andres Gimenez had a 630 OPS. We've also seen Andres Gimenez put up 7.5 win seasons. We were just talking about Austin Riley versus Matt Chapman and comparing their WAR, and you said, has Austin Riley ever put up a 7 WAR season like Matt Chapman has? Andres Gimenez has done that
And what, he's 3 years removed from that year?
too.
Two
He's
years removed
also
from
he's
that
also
year.
1 year removed from a
He
five
had
and
a
a half win season.
4.7 WAR, 4.7 WAR with an 85 OPS plus.
And he's not going to get better with the bat. He was never a bat guy coming up in the minors. He was never a bad guy in the majors. He's never going to be a bad guy. I'd be surprised if Bryce Terang ever puts up a 700 OPS. He
They're in
doesn't
the
walk
same.
enough, and
They're
he's
in the
definitely not going to
same.
slug
They're in the
enough.
same percentile for expected batting average.
Yes, and but Andres Gimenez just had the worst year of his career and got traded to somewhere where he's going to have way less expectation now on his back because the expectations for him in Cleveland were extremely high. So when you said his expectations were low in Cleveland, I completely disagree with that. But his expectations in Toronto are going to be he's literally not going to be a thought about. Like, yeah, they just traded for him and are paying him money, but we've seen Toronto just throw money at anyone who will take it. And they
I don't
also
understand how you look at Bryce Strang Savant. Yeah, he doesn't hit the ball hard. That's for sure. He doesn't hit the ball hard. But he's in the 85th percentile in squared up percentage. He's in the 97th percentile in whiff percentage. Obviously, we know he's an elite defender. He just won the platinum glove. And he's in
Andres
the
Gimenez is
90s.
a better defender than him.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
So
Okay, cool.
your argument shouldn't be like that he's a good defender because Andres Gimenez is better than him there.
Didn't Bryce Strang spend a lot of time at shortstop too? No, not shortstop. Didn't he spend a lot of time outside of second base this past year too?
No, he was at second base. Joey Ortiz was at third and Willie Adames was at short.
Give me a second. It's just he was the first percentile or the number one first. He was first in defensive WAR. What was Andres Jimenez's defensive WAR last year?
I don't know. You're gonna have to look that up.
Uh,
Andres Gimenez had 21 outs above average, Andrew.
That's fine. What was his
A
DRS?
hundredth
What was his
percentile.
DRS?
I could look that up too. I just don't understand how you have Bryce Turing six on your list and not or Andres Gimenez not ranked at all.
I just like I said, I if I had to bet on who was going to be better between any guy in my top 10, I would say every single person in my top 10, I project to be better than Andres Jimenez next year. 100%.
No. Bryce Turing would not. By the way, Andres Gimenez is projected to have a 106 WRC plus.
What was his projections last year too?
I have no idea. I can't even look at that. He had, where is his defensive run saved? Bryce Turing's the only.
So Bryce
Andres
Turang,
Gimenez had 20 defensive runs saved
I
this
mean, Bryce
season and
Turang had
21
22.
outs above out. And how many outs above average did he have?
What difference does it make? He had 22
There's a huge difference.
DRS. There's not a huge
There's a
difference.
huge
There's
difference.
a
How much
huge
did he
difference
have?
because you prefer outs above average.
I, I, okay, he has 2 outs above average more than him.
Okay. So Bryce
How much?
Turang was in the 90th percentile with six.
Andres Gimenez had 20 fucking one. That's 15 more outs above average than him. Do you see the difference that we're talking about here?
No, because I always favor DRS.
No, you don't, because you always mentioned outs above average
That's
on
because
this
it's the easier to
podcast.
find.
Okay, but what does that have to do with anything? Outs above average is a more compelling stat too.
On Fangraphs, you only had 19 outs above average.
Okay, how much did Bryce Terang have on Fangraph?
54.
Outs above average.
No, I'm fucking with you. Hold on, it's loading. How many did I say?
19 for Andres Gimenez.
Yeah. As in terms of outs above average, it's not even close. Andres Jimenez is way better.
And it's very close in fucking
On
um
DRS.
DRS. And if I were to take all of my money in my bank account, I'd put it on Andres Gimenez having more defensive runs saved than
Next
Bryce
year,
Terang next year.
we can put that.
We could put on their entire. season next
career.
year. I'll
Okay.
put $150 on it.
Okay, cool. I don't understand
I
why you favor Andres Jimenez so much better.
He's better
Because
defender and
he's
he's
a
a
better
better
defender.
he has a higher ceiling as a hitter.
But as of right now, who's the better hitter?
I would still take Andres Gimenez.
But as of right now
He's
on
put
paper,
up
who's
a
the better hitter?
830 OPS in his career. Bryce String will never sniff 750.
Never.
Never. He doesn't walk or slug enough to get
So
there.
he's 3% better in terms of OPS plus. Well, I
Okay.
wonder what Andres Jimenez's career OPS plus is.
His career OPS plus is 101. He's a above
He's an above
average hitter
average
in his
hitter for his
career.
career. 101 with the 715 OPS.
He's an above average hitter and one of the best defenders we've ever seen play the game.
No, I will agree. Yes.
So the fact that you have
He
Bryce
had a
String at
better B
six,
war. How
you
did
the
Bryce Turang have a better B war? 4.7. What was his B war last year?
who Bryce Turang
5.3. No.
or
Andres Jimenez,
Jimenez?
5.3 with a 96 OPS plus. And what is the projections look like for him next
He's
year?
projected to have a 101 OPS plus and a 719 OPS
Where do you see the 101 OPS plus?
on Baseball Reference or on F4. I'm sorry, or Fangraphs.
So it's WRC plus.
It's WRC plus, not OPS plus. Yeah, it's 101. So he's projected to be above average hitter and projected to be 10 points higher than Bryce Turang hitting wise. And we know he's the better defender by a long shot. We know he's a better WAR accumulator too because he can go over and play shortstop. Bryce Turang can't. We've seen Andres Gimenez play shortstop at the highest level. 130 innings in 2022 he played at shortstop. And I think he never committed an error there.
Bryce Turang has a projected 92 WRC plus, and he has 7 base running runs. How many does Andres Jimenez has? If Andres Jimenez has more base running value, I'll take Bryce Turang completely off my list, and I'll throw Andres Jimenez on there. And I will make a tweet
Base
saying
running,
that Andres Jimenez is better than Bryce Turang in every
base
single
running.
aspect of.
We're talking about base running right now.
Is base running not important in the
From
game of
two
baseball?
good, but they're both good base runners.
So what you're saying is that it's not an important stat though. Is that
It's
what you're saying?
important because
No, I'm asking you. Is that what you're saying?
we saw the worst base running team damn near of all time just make the World Series, Andrew.
So is base running is not important?
I mean, you could hold it to a certain degree, but I think it's, I'd rather have a guy be the worst base runner ever and be a incredible defender and a average hitter than be a good base runner, well below average hitter and a good
Andres
defender.
Jimenez on the base paths has accumulated 1 extra run for their team in 2024. 1 extra run. Do you know how many Bryce Turang had?
Seven, you just said it.
7. He's a better
Because he
base runner.
stole 20 more backs.
Runs via extra bases taken is 1. Runs via stolen bases is 6.
Why are we deep diving into base running stats right now?
I think base running is important, especially when you talk about second
I
base.
just told, okay, why do you think base running is important? The Yankees just made the World Series as one of the worst base running teams of all time, Andrew.
Well, a good thing we're ranking this. If we were talking about, the best players in baseball, I probably wouldn't factor in their base running as much. When you're talking about a position of second base who isn't necessarily one position to be known for the stick, I would like to factor in
Our
base running
top five guys
100%.
can swing it. Everyone can
And they
swing it
also run.
nowadays in baseball. You said they also run?
Um,
You said our top five guys also run.
3 of them do.
Simeon and Cattell do. And
Okay.
you don't have Nico Horner in your top five, which is absolutely fucking crazy to me.
I have Nico Horner on my 7 at 7.
Yeah, that's ridiculous to me. But
I think the 2 guys above him are better. Sure, maybe I'm at fault. Maybe I did show a little bit of bias to Bryce String because he was a Platinum Glove winner, and I think he's only getting better. But that's just me personally. But if I look at his savant, I want to look at Andres Jimenez's best year savant. I want to see if he was getting lucky or not.
he wasn't. That's why the expectations were so high for him.
In 2020, what, 2022, 2021?
You could look at 2022 was his breakout year,
In
where
2022.
where he was in 60th percentile in xWOBA and 66th percentile in X batting average.
Yes. So, yes, he was getting a little lucky.
He wasn't getting lucky. He hit 18 homers and had a 830 OPS. It wasn't like he was lighting the world on fire.
Okay, so 63, 66.
He also had a batting run value of 84 in the 84th percentile in 2022.
So he's Bryce Strings in the 22nd or 26th percentile in xWOBA, but he's in the 73rd percentile in expected batting average.
I mean,
So
Luis
based off
Ariz is
of
in the
except
100. We just look at it. We're looking at a guy right now in Luis Ariz who literally you don't like, who's only a batting average guy. That's exactly what Bryce Terang is. He just plays. Bryce Terang is Luis Ariz with
insane
more defensive
defense
value,
and
but
insane base running too,
a way worse hitter. I mean, if you combine the two players, they'd be elite,
they still wouldn't hit for pop.
and they still would
I
barely
don't know.
walk.
I mean, maybe that is a good comp. 73rd percentile in expected batting average, and then 97th percentile in whiff percentage, and then 94th percentile in sprint speed. I I I'm trying to convince myself that Andres Jimenez belongs on my list. I don't think he does. I
I
don't
mean,
think Andres Jimenez is
like I
that
said,
good.
I'm okay with you not having. Well, I didn't say that on air, but when the meeting ended, I said I'm okay with you not having Andres Jimenez on your list. But the fact that Bryce Strang is fucking six and above Nico Horner on your list is absolutely bizarre to me.
Nico Horner's a top five for you?
Yes, he's fifth.
Okay, at number seven, I have Nico Horner. Who do you have at number seven?
Let me open it up. I had lost my list. I have Luis Garcia Jr. here.
Okay, you can go on Luis Garcia Jr. I
Oh, I
think
mean, you
Luis
talked
Garcia,
about Luis
yeah.
Garcia. So to piggyback, um, the guy does everything at an above average rate. He hits at an above average rate, he defends at an above average rate, and he runs at an above average rate. And he put up a 762 OPS, and he has the ability to be 2020 as a second baseman who plays good defense. I mean, if that's not a top 10 second baseman with the potential to be top five, I don't know. I don't know what is because he's just so good and you talked about a lot of his numbers and all that stuff earlier, so I'll leave it at that. And Luis Garcia Jr. is one of those guys where I could see range from an honorable mention to top five even be or on the low end of that top five. So I wasn't mad at you having him at 10. I was happy to see he was on your list. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited to watch Luis Garcia's career grow and see where it takes him.
Yeah, I like Luis Garcia a lot. Um, I kind of did want to include him a little higher. I just thought everybody above him was just a little bit better in my personal opinion. I think it's subjective though. I think you're just a little bit higher in Luis Garcia Jr. or maybe even a little bit equal. It's just I think Luis Garcia Jr. doesn't do anything wrong. It's just I
That's what
don't
I'm
think
saying.
he excels at anything either. You know
I
what I
think
mean?
he can
I think
excel
he's
at hitting
above
though.
average at everything. You know what I
I
mean?
think he can excel in the hitting department.
Yeah, I think he's probably among the top when you talk about just hitting skill ability. Right next there, maybe. Nah, I don't even know. I think he's definitely below Altuve, Simeon,
He could be in
Marte.
Ozzy's range of
I think
hitting guys.
Ozzy's just a little bit better though too.
But I'm
As
saying
far
he
as like
can be
ceiling,
there.
yeah, I think he's right underneath Ozzy's ceiling in my opinion. I think Luis Garcia is maybe about a 2 or 3 time All Star. I think Ozzy Albies is in that 6 to 7 type of range. So if that's being, I think that's pretty honest, especially considering, yeah, I really like Ozzy Albies. He's number five for me. We'll get to him in a second. Um, but yeah,
Ozzy's number five. Holy shit. I already know where you're going with this. That's ridiculous. If you don't know as a fan, uh, with the hat that he's wearing, who's his number four spot, and so help me God, if he's number three, I'm gonna punch you through this fucking screen. But
he's number three.
I'm gonna punch you through this fucking screen. I can't discuss this. Holy shit.
You argue with
Okay, number
yourself.
six for me is Jazz Chisholm.
Number four for me is Jazz Chisholm.
Okay, that's ridiculous. What does Jazz do better than Ozzy Albies with
He
the stick in his hand? Because he sure as hell can't stay as healthy as fucking Ozzy Albies.
he's a better defender and a better base runner. and he's more
Fair
valuable in
enough.
forms of war.
Fair enough. I can see your argument. I thought you had him at three, but
Nah, I have him
Jazz
at
Chisholm is
4.
number six for me. I can't
Well,
see
I
him
need to go
jumping
number
over.
7. Number 7 is Nico Horner for me. I
Well,
have
you just
Nico
said
Horner.
that.
Yeah,
Uh, uh,
yeah.
Let me discuss Nico Horner because obviously you don't know what you're discussing
I don't
about
think
Nico Horner.
I think Nico Horner, Bryce Terang, as well as Andres Jimenez are all the same player.
It's
Um,
just not true.
I think Nico Horner, honestly, I think Nico Horner is better than Bryce Terang. I've always been a Nico guy. Um, Nico Horner is just like imagine like Luis Ariz with a little bit more pop, and I guess
A
he's not
little
really
bit
like a
less
Luis.
bat.
Yeah, a little less bat. Like he's not an 80 grade hitter, but he's in that 60 to 70 range. He's a good hitter. He's good bat to ball. He's in the 97th percentile in whiff percentage. He doesn't strike out much with the 78th percentile in baseball. He's an elite defender, 90th percentile, and an
Some
elite
could
base
argue
runner
better
too.
than Bryce Terang
Yeah,
defensively.
some you definitely you can make that argument 100%. It just based off of last year of 2024 alone, I thought I just had to rank Bryce Terang because he had a better year on paper. But let me go back to that. That might be wrong. I know in F4. Let's see. I have it actually written down right here. Nico Horner had a 3.9 F4, but the projected 3.6 F4, 103 WRC plus with 106 WRC plus projection, 11 outs above average, and 5 base running value, meaning he created 5 extra runs for his team just on his base running alone. I love Nico Horner. I really do. It's
So he's
just
better than the outs above average categories
it's just
of.
Bryce Turing run a platinum glove, and they're both in the same league. And
But
as
these
far
these
as
awards
defensive
for
runs saved,
platinum glove.
hold on, listen. And it's far and it's in terms of defensive runs saved, Bryce Turing was a leader in the entire National League. So
Can I
even if
ask
it
you a
was,
question?
yeah,
Was Bryce Terang a better defender than Bretton Doyle?
no, Brent Doyle, no,
So
no.
why? So should he have won
I
the
think
platinum glove?
in form of defensive runs saved, where you're not as penalized as a second baseman as you are as a center fielder. I don't know how to explain it. I think Bretton Doyle
Bretton
plays a
Doyle
harder
also has the
position.
best
I think
arm
he
in the
plays,
game.
yeah, I understand. And he plays a harder position.
So do you think he should have been a platinum glove winner?
I don't know, man. What was his
I don't even think he
DRS?
should have been a gold glove winner. I think it should have been Nico Horner. But I mean, I wasn't mad at him winning a gold glove because was great defensively this year. But anyways, let me get onto Jazz while you watch this. I mean, I'll let you talk about Jazz because you obviously are very
He had
high
an
on them.
11 defensive runs DRS
Saved.
with a 19 in 2023. So he had an 8 drop off. I wonder, huh?
I think he was dealing with a little bit of injury this season, if I remember correctly, too.
Brandon
Um,
Doyle was in the with 16 outs above average and the 99th percentile, obviously, in arm strength with a 97.4 miles an hour average. But in form of DRS, I mean, you compare 23 to 11, and there you get your platinum glove winner. You know what I mean? That's how far of the gap it was. But you can also make the average if you do favor outs above average. That there you go. And he actually had a -3 on his arm,
who?
Brenton Doyle.
Well, he has the best arm strength in baseball, is what I
Yeah.
say. Um,
So no, I still think that's correct. I still think Bryce String deserves the platinum glove.
oh, okay. I disagree, but um, anyways, let's get into Jazz Chisholm, who I think is gonna, who I'm projecting to have the best season of his career this coming up season. We know how he loves the bright lights and everything about the bright lights. Um, and he's gonna play in a stadium that's gonna help him tap into more power. Obviously, playing in Miami, uh, didn't necessarily project his power to be as good as it is because it's such a big stadium. But I don't know. I'm just really excited to see what he does. What I'm more impressive, what I'm most impressed about Jazz Chisholm is his ability just to be able to slide into um a position. Like when he came over to New York, he was just able to easily slide into third base and be good over there. So I think it's going to be a seemingly easy progression for him um, to play second base for New York and take over Glaber's spot. And if we look at his post All-Star break numbers, where he was mainly with the Yankees, in 56 games, the kid hit 12 homers and OPS at nearly um an 800 or over an 800 OPS in the second half. And that's real impressive to me. He also stole 22 bags in the second half in 54 games. So he's very efficient on the base paths. And I'm excited to see what he is going to do. My only downfall of Jazz Chisholm is if the kid can stay healthy. If he could stay healthy, I think he could project his way into a top five, top four, top three even position in the second base ranking, especially as the top end of our talent gradually gets older and starts regressing, of course. So that's my projection this coming up season for Jazz Chisholm. I think he's going to have the best year of his career. And if he could play 130 games, I could easily see him in that top five to top three slot, even for that 2026 ranking. So
That's your number five, you said?
six.
Number six was Bryce Trank for me. Number five, I have Ozzy, who I think you intertwined. I think you favored Ozzy over Jazz Chisholm. I don't see the argument, but I mean, I respect it just because I think Ozzy has a little bit of a longer track record, especially being a solidified second baseman. This year
And
he
just,
was banged up. I think I
yeah,
was talking to you about it earlier. I mean, he missed a shit
yeah,
ton of games. He only played 99 games.
yeah.
Um, About a 251, 303, 404 slug with a 707 OPS with a 95 OPS plus. But he put up a 1.6 B war with a 1.3 F war. His projections this year are 3.2 F war with a 110 WRC plus. He's a terrible defender, -2 outs above average, and he's not very good. He's not very good on the base pass either. I think he's a one trick pony. I just think his bat plays. Other than that, he's not really not going to do a lot of other things better. I mean, how many stolen bases did he have? He had 8 stolen bases, and he's out of from 9 attempts on his career. He has 84 with his career high of 20 stolen bases, but that was all the way back in 2021. If you want to go back to 2022, when he played 64 games, you got 3 stolen bases. Last year, through 148 games, he stole 13. So I mean, it's cool. He hit 33 home runs in 2023 as well. When it seems like I think that was like the best offensive like in recent memory with the 2023 Braves. So everybody in that lineup slugged. But this year just couldn't stay healthy. And also you saw a lot of him hitting from the right side. So it looks like he's really digressing on the left side. Let me
Well,
look at
that's
his
because he had that
splits.
wrist injury.
Yeah,
He
let me look
couldn't
at his
hit from
splits
the
this
left
year.
side. He was favoring the right side. By the way, I have Nico Horner in my five hole. I said that earlier.
Yeah.
We talked about Nico Horner
So
so long
versus
ago.
right-handed pitching this past year, 94 games, 225 batting average, 291 on base, 362 slug with a 653 OPS. From left-handers, he crushed them. I mean, whether or not it was a wrist injury or not, I still got to give credit where credit's due. Against lefties, he had an 858 OPS with a 519 slug with the 321 batting average. I mean, that's gonna play.
And that's been
Um,
most of his career too, where
yeah,
he
he hits
crushes
he hits
lefties.
lefties, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna be maybe a forever type of thing. I don't know. You're gonna have to ask Ozzy Albies in that Braves organization. But yeah, I think Jazz is just better in mostly all categories other than the stick. Um, which is kind of arguable. I mean, some days I can father Jazz, and other days I can favor Ozzy just depending on how they played the day before. But Ozzy Albies is my number five. I couldn't put him over Jazz.
Looking at these numbers and the projections, I could see why you have Jazz over Ozzy.
So
But
do you
I
want to
just want to.
apologize though? I wanted to punch me through the screen.
I thought you. No, I said that because I said if you have him at three, I'm gonna punch you through the screen.
Nah, I have him at four. I
Yeah, I
couldn't put him
thought you
over
had him at
three
three.
just because just out of
I
respect.
think you and I both have the same 3-2-1. So
Yeah,
once we get there, we could fly through those guys because everyone knows who the top three are. It's just a matter of ranking, and one is solidified.
yeah,
Um, but Ozzy Albies in the best 3 years of his career before this past season, in 368 games, the kid hit 71 homers and had an 803 OPS and a 113 OPS plus, and that's from 2021, 2022, 2023. Um, so. I think Ozzy Albies can put up over an 800 OPS. He's done it several times in his career, and he's also an every other year guy. If you kind of look at his numbers from since 2020, he had a 770 OPS in 2020, then an 821, 722, 850 in 23, and a 724. So hell, maybe he's an odd guy, odd year kind of guy,
yeah.
like Marcus Simeon. Um, but yeah, I could see where you have Ozzy and Jazz over Ozzy, but I'm not too mad at it anymore. But I do have Ozzy at four for me. Who's your four?
Jazz
Jazz, right?
Chisholm.
Yeah.
So just about Jazz, I mean, I like you said earlier when you touched base on why he's number five or number six, and you had Nico at five, but I think Jazz is really in for it's a contract year too. He's gonna get a full year out there in the Bronx. I don't know where he's projected. I don't really see. I think he's kind of like the back half around the 5 to 6 range. I don't think he's at 1, 2, 3. If I had to guess, I would think I'm projected they're gonna go Volpe, probably Bellinger, or maybe Judge and then Bellinger and then Stanton. I mean, I can definitely see Jazz being, lead off between him and Volpe, and then they're 1, 2, and then either Judge or Bellinger. I really don't know. I'd really have to work out those kinks. But as far as Jazz, I mean, he's a really good defender. Really good defender. He really there's a lot of highlights of like him getting blown up over Twitter and Instagram of like making a couple of errors at third. But if you really just sat there and watched Yankee games the way that I watch Yankee games, brother, he goes out there and he picks it, man.
Yeah, I
And
agree
his
with you on that.
errors are gonna come. Errors are gonna come at any position. He only played 46 games for us in the second half as we acquired him at the deadline. He batted 273 with 325 on base, and he slugged 500 for an 825 OPS with 130 OPS plus. I mean, if you even want to talk about maybe a 790 OPS with a 110 OPS plus with that elite level with that second base and the ability to steal bases as he had 40 last year with 24 home runs. I mean, I just think that's a top four second baseman in my eyes. He doesn't walk at the greatest of clips, and he also whiffs a lot. But when he makes contact, it's loud and it goes far, kind of similar to Ozzy Albies minus the whiff. But I just favor Jazz simply because he's a better base runner. He's similar
Better
hitter. I
defender.
think on certain days, I think you can give even the power numbers to Jazz, as I think Jazz maybe has a little bit more raw power. Um, and then his bat speed is obviously pretty good. If you just see his swing, it's really fast. I don't know if his bat speed ranks up there. It is 54th percentile, but if
He's super
but not,
short to the ball
yeah,
though,
yeah, that's something. He's just
so
quick.
he's
He's just
faster.
one
Yeah,
motion, you know what I mean? Just real quick to it. And 99 outs above average last year, man. Split between center and third. So I mean that's gonna play, brother.
yeah.
But 82nd percentile in sprint speed as well. Like we just mentioned, 40 stolen bases. And even through 147 games, I mean, he might have put up maybe a 4.5 to a 5 win season as he finished flat on a 4 for F4. So I mean, if a 4 win second baseman, I think it's a perfect spot for him at number 4, man.
Yeah. So let's get into our top three. I think we have the exact same order, and I think we have the same exact top three. So who's your number three?
Altuve,
And then number two,
Simeon.
and then number one's Cattell.
Yep.
Yeah, we have the same top three. So get into Altuve. Obviously he's a all-timer in terms of the second base position. Has been doing it for such a long period. Uh, on the verge of probably 11 years of dominating the league as an undersized player and second baseman. And he's coming off a year where he put up 3.5 BWAR and had another solid year. I mean, had a 790 OPS. That's obviously fallen off from the two seasons before where he had a 915 and a 921. But he did deal with some injuries this season, if I'm not correct. Yeah. Oh
Nah,
no,
he
no,
played
that was
153
the
games.
season before he
Yeah,
had the
season before
injury.
in the World Baseball
Yeah.
Classic, he broke his hand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, Altuve's just Mr. Consistent over there. I mean, a career OPS of 831 and a career OPS plus of 130. He has been a good defender, but it's obviously fallen off later into his career. But I'm going to give all the respect to Jose Altuve, even going into his age 35 season. I mean, his projections are an 823 OPS as a 35-year-old with over 20, going 2020. And I could see him going 2020 where he hits 20 plus doubles, 20 plus homers, and steals 20 plus bags. Um, I think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, or not, maybe not first
Well, he
ballot
just
because of
went
the,
20 this past season as well,
yeah.
where he had 22 stolen bases, 20 homers on the dot, and 31 doubles.
31
So,
double,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
I don't know if he's maybe a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think we have a solidified Hall of Famer
I don't know if
on our
he's ever going to
hands
get
here.
another thing just because of simply what happened with the Astros. I don't know how they're going to weigh that or anything like that, but I definitely think it's something to weigh for sure.
Yeah, but if I was a
I'm a
voter,
Yankees
I'd
fan,
have
brother.
him
I
on
still
the.
think Altuve is a Hall of Famer. I
Yeah,
think a lot of these guys are Hall of Famers.
I mean he's gonna get
Um,
to probably 2,500 hits. He 250 homers in his career,
and
500 doubles.
it may be harsh, but I don't think I, I don't know, man. I think this might be his last year in the top three. I
That's
just
right. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
Some people may argue, well, Marcus Semien had a shitty year. You can argue that, Jose Altuve had a way better year than Marcus
Simeon.
Semien. But as I want to get into Marcus Semien, which you already touched about on Jose Altuve, Marcus Semien plays every day. He plays every
Yeah.
single day. He plays great defense. He's going to lead off games, and I don't think there's enough emphasis on how valuable a player is to play 162 year in year out, like year in year out, no question
Yeah.
about it. You know what I mean?
And
It
be
just is
above
Mr.
average in
Reliable.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, even with a down year, I don't even think he touched an 100 OPS plus this year. He was
No, he was 100 exactly.
100
League
exactly,
average hitter.
league
Yeah.
average hitter, which is extreme down year, man. This is a guy who's hit 45 home runs in a season, if I'm not mistaken.
But he's also 1 year removed from a top three in MVP
He's in
finish.
the 100th percentile on outs above average.
Yeah.
He had 19 outs above average this year. He's still quick. He got 81 percentile in sprint speed, 90th percentile in squared up percentage. The one thing I've always had about Marcus Semien is I just wish that motherfucker would walk. I wish he just wouldn't go up there and
If,
swing at everything. You know what I
I
mean?
watch him religiously, and it's just I love him as a leadoff hitter because the first pitch, this motherfucker's gonna swing at it, and I love that because as a hitter, that's who I was.
He sets
If
the
I seen a
tempo.
first pitch fastball in the strike zone, I'm probably swinging at that motherfucker.
I mean, we're 1 year removed of him having a 7 win season, at least in
Yeah,
terms of B WAR. He put up a
seven and a half.
4.1. He put up a 4.1 B WAR. And as far as F WAR, he had a 4.2 F WAR with and projections are he's gonna get better. He had a down year, but I don't think there's any question about it. I don't think he's an 100 OPS plus hitter. I think he's in that 120 range
And
for
he's been an
sure.
odd every other year guy too
Yeah.
for a while. Since 2021, how much B WAR do you think he's putting up?
Since 2021. 2021 was his MVP year
Ye-
in the
well,
Toronto.
not MVP, but like he was
MVP
MVP.
two.
Yeah,
When he hit like 40 bombs,
yeah.
and then he's played every single
By the way,
fucking
he
year
has
after that,
123 homers in that time span and a 783 OPS.
and elite defense. I'm gonna say he's close in that 25 to 30 range.
24.1 B WAR.
Yeah, 24.1
So, I
BWAR.
mean, that's as consistent as it gets. I mean, that's averaging over 5 wins a season since 2021 and well above 5 wins a season, close to six. Actually, that's 6 wins a season in the last. He's averaging 6 wins per year in the last 4 years. I mean, that's incredible. And then I'll let you take the floor on Ketel Marte because you're a huge Ketel Marte guy.
Oh man, what can be said about Ketel Marte, bro? Like, I don't even. Not only is he a solidified top second baseman unanimously, I think this guy has arguments to be just a top 10 player in baseball flat out. Ketel Marte is not only going to hit the baseball with the best of them, he's going to play good defense. He's going to steal bases with the best of them. He's going to be available with the best of them. Like, he put up a 6.3 F WAR as a second baseman, where I don't know if you guys know how WAR is measured. As a second baseman, you don't really get that type of love as you would
Bump.
get if
Yeah.
you're a catcher, shortstop, or center fielder, and he still has a 6.3 F WAR. If you want to talk about the leaders of WAR, he's in the top 10 easily. And just that based alone off that WAR, I just think there's no question. When you make just a top 10 players list in general across Major League Baseball, I promise you Ketel Marte is going to be in there. Ketel Marte has a career 27.9 F WAR. And if you want to go over to the last, 3 seasons, or even 2 seasons alone, he's accumulated what is that, 10.6 F WAR. So he's averaging a 5 win season, a 5.5 win season per year over the last 2 years. And then even if you want to go a year prior to that, he put up a 1.8 and a 2.4. He's an above average big leaguer no matter what it is. You know what I mean? He's had down years, and that's no question. Between 2021 when he played 90 games and then in 2022 he played 137. I mean, you look at those numbers in a 1.8 F4 and a 2.4 F4, and you think, okay, he's not that very good. And then you just come out here in 2023, you put up a 4 win season, then you back it up after that. If it wasn't for you getting hurt, I think you make an argument that Ketel Marte was arguably better than Shohei Ohtani had he not gotten hurt, because he plays both sides of the ball and he was that damn good. I mean, I can talk about Ketel Marte for hours, man. I just think Ketel Marte, I think he's better than Corbin Carroll. I think he's better than Corbin Burns. I think he's your leader in that ball club. I think he's the guy that you rely on the most in that ball club in Arizona. 97 percentile in xWOBA, 96 percentile in expected batting average, 96 percentile in expected slug, 98th percentile in average exit velocity, with a average exit velocity of 94 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Almost a
Like,
hard hit ball.
yes. 89th percentile in squared up percentage, 85th percentile in walks percentage. And as this podcast grows and as you get to know me, I love people who know how to walk. And when you're in the 85th percentile in walk percentage as a second baseman, and you also are able to slug in the 96th percentile, you're a top 10 player in the baseball and unanimously the best second baseman in the league. Even and he has utility availability. He can go play shortstop. He can go play center field. If he was a center fielder, he's better than Mike Trout in my opinion. And I don't think it's a hot take at all. I think Ketel Marte is among the best players in the league, and there's no question about it.
I mean, we were talking earlier about how Luis Garcia was like an above average player in every category.
Yeah,
Ketel Marte is elite in damn near every
every
category.
category. You know what I
So
mean?
that's the there's levels to this shit, and Ketel Marte is level one.
He's good, brother. I think he's an S tier baseball player. Um,
Switch hitter
he's
too.
yeah. His contract's 5 years, $76 million, and you're getting a value of a 6.8 B WAR for that
You're
type
getting
of money.
value of a 30
He's the Jose Ramirez
million
of second
AAV
baseman.
guy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's literally the Jose Ramirez of second baseman. And on some days, I love J Ram too. He's unanimously the best third baseman in baseball, and he's unanimously a top 10 baseball player in general. And honestly, some days I think I favor Ketel Marte over J Ram, and I don't think you can look at me crazy for that. Ketel Marte is just that good. 292 batting average on the year with a 372 on base percentage, 560 slug with a 932 OPS and a 55 or 155 OPS plus. That means he's 55% better than the league average hitter. And then if you just want to pull up his defense, he's in the 93rd percentile with 8 outs above average. And then if you want to look at his stolen base numbers, he had 7, but everybody knows that Ketel
He's a
Marte can
good
steal
base runner.
bases.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good base runner. It's plain and simple, man. If you want to look at base running value, which I have right here, he accumulates 1. I just think nah, bro. Ketel Marte is a good base runner. I don't no
He
matter
is.
what
He's a
measurement you
good
look
base
at it,
runner.
he's a really good base runner. Yeah, I love Ketel Marte. I really do. He's easily my favorite player in it over there in the NL West,
Well,
and he
that
has
I
been
mean,
for years.
I'm not
And
gonna
he's
add
great to
anything. You've hit
use.
it. You hit
And
it
he's
all on the
great.
mark.
And he's
And
great to use
MLB
in
the
MLB
show.
the show. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even in 2019 with the juice ball era, you look at that 981 OPS and you're like, okay, just a juice ball era because he goes from 732 in 2020 to a 909 in 2021. You're like, okay, maybe it wasn't a fluke. And then he goes down to a 727 and then an 844 in 2023. And then he just comes back in 2024, 932 OPS. No matter if it was juice balls or not, this motherfucker hits baseballs. You know what I mean? He hits baseballs hard. Puts them over the wall. He's gap to gap and he plays great defense. Enough said. Ketel Marte is I think his level is better than the guys
He's
next
only
to him.
31 too.
Yeah, like he's so
I
good,
feel like
man.
he's been in the league for forever.
Yeah, well he's been in the league since he was 21. He started his
Yeah.
career in Seattle. Use that for your what's that game?
Baseball grids.
Yeah, your immaculate grid. Use that, man.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. I don't need to add anything. You hit it all
Yeah,
on the
Ketel
head with
Marte is
Cattell.
so good,
So,
brother.
what position you want to do next?
Let's do corner outfielders.
So, all right. So our next episode is going to be corner outfielders, and that's going to be fun. I think we're going to do 15 because we're combining two positions.
If Aaron Judge isn't
15
one,
or
then
20.
there's no
Aaron
list
Judge
here.
is one because Aaron Judge is one in the total. So, yeah. Spoiler, Aaron Judge is number one.
And spoiler alert, Juan Soto is number 2.
All right,
Yeah,
like and subscribe, y'all. Share, share, please. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I mean, we're trying to grow this thing. So yeah, appreciate y'all.
Bryce Spring, sixth
No. All
best
right.
second baseman in the league.
All right then, y'all.